Welcome back, Coach Richardson, here in your home. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for meeting with us today.
I'm honored to have you guys in here. I mean, it's glorious days for me when you think about what has happened before, and then we're still talking about it today. That's wonderful.
30, almost exactly to the date, 30 years ago.
Right. 30 years ago, we were cutting down some nets, and all of Arkansas was going wild. It was something that you'd have to be there to believe it happened.
The whole state was behind you. I'm going to show you this. I wore this when I was 13 years old. It's a Razorback during that game. The whole state was ready. We're so anxious. What does it feel like to have an entire state behind this team? As you guys were in Charlotte.
Not very many coaches will ever get that opportunity to have a whole state, because usually in a state you got other schools that are in that state that were really something. Not that the Arkansas State or ULAR is not in the same caliber, but during that period, Arkansas was like the only school in the state, because that's the only one that could win a national championship. And so everybody came together. You had fans that, if Arkansas was playing somebody and they were against, at that point, they would have been against. Yeah. But not during the time that there was a national championship. The fans band together, the people of Arkansas band together, our team banding. It's a bunch of banding, and that made it beautiful.
What does it feel like now, looking back, to know that everyone really connected as a state? You don't see that a lot. Everyone agreeing on one thing, everyone being behind one thing.
That's what I was saying earlier, that it took you could take a basketball game or a championship or national championship, and it's amazing how sports in general bring you together to want to win. Yeah. I think the Arkansas is a small community, a small state. Not everybody's looking at, because they figure they're not going to be able to do anything. And all of a sudden you're playing with the big boys, which have been dominating the sports for years and years. That's something else.
So April 4th, 1994, I would like to say the state says we all did it. We were all excited.
Absolutely, they all did it. If you're talking about the state and the fans and the people, we had the greatest fans in America. I mean, if they can go, they'll be there. Yes, and that's the bottom line. If they can go, they'll be there.
What was your first thought the minute that buzzer sounded, the game ended? A lot of hugs.
There was. There's one particular thing, and the thought in my mind was that I had lost my daughter, and she was a tremendous fan of the basketball. And I looked up into the heavens and said, "Thank you, Lord," but we got her a national championship. I think that was the heavy on my heart, because she felt like if I took the job over here, that I could win one, and she was right.
I'm looking at the picture over here of her looking over you with that hog hat.
Right.
She's been watching over the teams over the years.
She have really been an inspiration for me, because at one point after that had happened, I was just about ready to just resign and go back and apply for the principalship, because that's what I aspired to do if I didn't coach in sports. But I think her believing in what I could do gave me the opportunity to feel that I've got to get it done. And so you had that extra help from my daughter, yes.
I want to talk a story I read that I think speaks a lot about who you are as a coach and as a person. As that game was about to start, we all found out that Ken Biley was starting. I think a lot of people were surprised by that, but that was recognition of a lot of hard work.
Oh, well, I get a kick out of it. I get that question asked to me quite a few times, particularly from people who are not from Arkansas that enjoyed the game. It says, how could you go into a national championship game and not play or start your best five or your five that you started all year? And I said, well, he was a senior, number one. He paid the price for being there in practice, making the other guys better, Had he came at a different era, he would have been a superstar on a ball club. And anyone that has worked as hard as I put you through deserves 3, 4, 5, or 6 minutes or whatever. And if I signed a kid that I couldn't play 3, 4, 5 minutes in a game, then I need to be punished, because Biley certainly deserved every minute of the time that he got. And of course, when you win, you look like a genius. If you lose, they say, well, that Nolan is stupid. And they would have been right either way.
Ken Biley may have thrown Grant Hill off his game for that 4 minutes he played. That was a good 4 minutes.
I tell you what, he couldn't even see the ball. I never seen a kid work so hard to protect what defensively. He gave the best 4 minutes I think I've ever coached of a player. You know, there's some players that scored points and did that, but working the end of the court, that the way Biley was working against one of the best players in the country, is amazing. I know the kid was glad when Biley came out of the game. This guy's crazy. Yeah, it was the hardest working player I saw during all my career work as hard as he did.
I love that he got to start. I'm looking around the room and you see all the accolades and all the photos. You think, oh, Lord, it is hard to be humble. There's a lot of wonderful trophies and things that you've done over your career, but what you don't see is what you talk about with Ken Biley, the 5 Ps: preparation, prevents, piss poor performance. I've heard about your practices. Thank God I've never been in one, because I've heard they're very difficult. But that's where these championships, that's where the winning comes from.
That's exactly true, Dana. You know, if you put in the work, you may not see it all at one period, or you may not see the fruits of what you've planted until later on. But constant consistency and habits, and you know, everybody would always ask me when I would go to coaching clinics, how do I get my guys to play so hard? Because we work hard every single day. There's no excuse for not working. So therefore, working is only an attitude. And if I develop the attitude that I'm ready to work, then I'm not going to worry about where it is that I work or what game I'm playing. Everything is work, work, work. And I think that was the message that was sent during the practices that I gave.
I want to pivot a little bit. I'm from Bentonville. Watched that national championship game in Bentonville. I heard you were close to Bud Walton. I also heard one time he coached the red and white game.
Yes, he did.
I want to ask, first of all, how is he as a coach? And secondly, I want to hear about that relationship.
Oh, it was funny because we Coach Broyles and I went to see Mr. Walton to see if we could just get a donation to get more seats in Barnhill. And he said if we could get another 1,000 seats, because we had just gotten into the Southeast Conference, even Ole Miss was ahead of us, and Mississippi State had more fans than we had at Barnhill. So his project was to get $1 million and let's remodel and put some more seats. And I approached him with that. And Mr. Walton, I'll never forget, he smoked cigarettes. He's puffing, and he said, he gave me a little cough, and he said, we can't be spending no money on something that's not going to be good for you. I said, and he said to Frank, what would a gym cost? And Coach said, 35 million. He says, all right, you got a place where you can put it? He said, yes, sir. He said, okay, and then I'll give you got half of it today, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. And that's how it all went for him. After he decided, and we're getting ready to play our red and white game, it was going to be, I believe, Tyson on one side and Mr. Walton on the other side. And they went through just what we did as coaches, you know, pregame meal. I mean, it was exciting, but it took him about 2 or 3 months before he decided that he would do it. He says, I can't coach, Nolan, you do. I said, nobody else can either, but they think they can.
So did he win?
No, he didn't. I felt so sorry for him. I said, well, you know how I feel sometimes, don't you, Mr. Walton? He said, yeah, that ain't no good feeling, Nolan. I said, no, it's not. But anyway, we had a great time. There's a little circle where the first shot taken was by him at the arena. Those were some great times, having him being a part of it, all the way through until he was passed away. He was a big fan.
I was there when we collected the spirit of Barnhill, and then
yeah.
when we released it into Bud Walton Arena, that was a special moment for the fans too. And it all was a perfect storm at that time of.
Yes, yes. Everything, you're right, it all seemed to just come together. Winning a national championship, getting into a new facility, fans being so proud of walking into that building for the first time and saying, wow, it is one of the most beautiful facilities in America today.
It is. And that thing, I told Danielle Musselman this as well, it reverberates sometimes when the fans are so excited.
Yes.
That's a special feeling.
It's a special feeling. You know, I dreaded leaving Barnhill because you go in there, you come out with a headache. You know?
I used to wear earplugs as a kid.
Yeah, there were some days, nights that, God almighty, you go home and just boom, you're still rocking. But then as time went on with the Bud Walton, you had almost 9,000 more people than Bud did. Than Barnhill did. So it began to pick up that kind of a feeling. You know, you walk. Teams came in there to lose. Because they said, hey, Coach, I hope we play you a good game. I said, I hope you do too. I mean, how do you hope to play a good game? Yeah, me, I hope to win. I don't care about the good game.
Well, they're up against 40 minutes of hell. They had no chance.
They had no clue until they ran up against it, and then they knew they wasn't supposed to win.
Well, we're talking about this electric feeling and the chaos of 40 minutes of hell. I want to step outside and feel something a little different. You've got a beautiful property here, and let's talk a little bit about that
Okay.
outside as well.
All righty, that'll work.